What's going on, CSBA? And welcome to another edition here of CSBA Hoops Today. You're going to notice that it's a little bit different than what we're used to here, as it's not only me here in the booth here for this new episode, but I've also got my boy Ace in the booth. Ace, how we doing? Are you ready for a new season of CSBA?
I'm super excited. I'm doing great. This is going to be an exciting time.
Yeah, we got some new segments coming in, so be on the lookout for that. And that's what we're actually going to be going over here in our first segment of the show is kind of what you guys were used to seeing and what you could get used to seeing as we go through season 15 of the CSBA. So you guys are pretty much used to, seeing the top matchups of the week, seeing the top highlights from the games, maybe seeing some players of the game, but we're also going to be introducing a couple new segments here. We're going to be a lot more proactive with getting interview segments into this show, and we're also going to be a lot more proactive with getting into top plays to showcase some of the players that we have here in the CSBA universe, and that's going to be Ace's baby, as I like to call it. That's going to be his segment, which he'll get a little bit more into as we progress on here throughout the show. So be on the lookout for that. I'm really looking forward to everyone putting out their top plays and getting some chatter in league chat about that. But again, like I said, we're going to try and get more interviews in here with coaches and players. So be on the lookout for that. But we're also going to stick to our bread and butter of overview of each of the matchups each week. We did a little preview show here with the preseason to get everyone's whistle wet and, trying to get everyone prepared for week one, which is just around the corner. So, into our next segment here, it's going to be kind of like our ranking segment. So, if you all remember, the preseason rankings were released from the admin poll for, as Wired called it, the too early preseason admin poll. And we're going to utilize the admin poll here a little bit, but we're also, Ace and I are going to create our own little ranking system to, get some people chirping a little bit in league chat and get some hot takes in here. But Ace, did you want to go over the preseason admin poll, and is there anything that kind of stood out to you as far as what was determined for the top 20 there?
For the most part, I think it's correct. There was a couple head scratchers. Obviously, preseason, you don't know how teams are going to perform, and it's way too early. But I think Memphis was kind of too low at 16 when they kind of went far in March Madness last year, and they kept the similar core, so I felt like they should have been a little higher. Um, a team that I was shocked to make the top 20 was UConn, but hey,
Yep.
it's it's early. A lot of things can change. And Michigan at 19, I think Michigan is one of the top teams in the CSBA this year. 19 was a little question mark for me.
Yeah, Michigan's gonna be a top 10 team come tournament time. I don't think they're getting much respect here. And I do not like Michigan. I'm gonna be upfront with you. Even in real life, it just comes from real life. I have nothing against players on Michigan, here in the CSBA, but I'm a Penn State guy, so Michigan not great in my IRL here. But what about Hawaii? I'm going to talk about Hawaii here, but how about Kentucky? Number 12. I know there was a lot of turnover there, but from champions to number 12, talk a little bit about that and how they went to 12. And now we have the Hawaii Warriors at number one.
Um, Hawaii looked very good in preseason, as we're gonna talk about a little bit later. But I think the whole Hawaii rankings is correct. I do agree Kentucky should be a little be definitely higher than 12. When yes, they lost a couple pieces, but they added a lot of good pieces too. So I still think Kentucky is a top 5 team in the CSBA.
Yeah, I think when it's all said and done, when we get to the tournament, I definitely anticipate Kentucky making a little bit of a run and getting at least to within the top 10. But that's just your too early preseason admin poll. A little quick overview. Like I said, next week, if we don't have an admin poll, Your boys, Lion and Ace, will have our own rankings and we'll see where we have everyone standing there. So be on the lookout for next week's episode for the new rankings after week 1 is said and done. But getting a little now into a new segment we have that we're going to introduce here this year is our top plays segment. So I'll turn it over to Ace. He's going to be the one running with that. Ace, what are you looking to do here in our top plays segment, and where can people submit their top 10 plays?
I just want people to start clipping more. I stream a lot of games and I don't see people clipping. Like I clip myself when I see a good play. Um, but I want to show the talent we have in the CSBA, and players deserve their shine. So these top plays are going to show it, and I hope um, players stand out.
Yeah, we're looking for potentially a top 5 teaser for this week, right, for preseason, and then if we get more videos dropped, we'll potentially look to expand it to top 10, right?
Yes, just we didn't get a lot of submits in the Titus channel, so make sure you submit your clips. And once we're gonna do a top 5 this week, so and then possibly a top 10 next week.
Yep, yep. So make sure you guys get your clips out there so we can try and filter through those, and like Ace said, get everyone their flowers whenever they get, a huge player or massive poster on a dunk or anything like that. So we want to make sure we highlight the CSBA universe as much as we can. That's the whole point of this show, is trying to get everyone's name out there and get them recognized. But what we're going to do here next is kind of, give a high level overview and go over each of the night's top games and the scoreboard from each of the nights, and see if there's anything that we kind of want to highlight for each of the nights. So for the preseason, we'll start here with the first night. We had a trio of games here. We had Michigan and Ohio, Creighton and Kansas State, and Syracuse and Gonzaga. Ace, we had Ohio really, really putting it to Michigan there. I know we talked about Michigan a little bit in our rankings, but they ended up losing by 17. Gonzaga also took Syracuse to the woodshed, beating them by 16. But in our game of the night, we had Kansas State and Creighton. Kansas State pulling it out by 3. Is there anything here that stands out to you on the scoreboard or any of the box scores for these ones that may have stood out that you kind of wanted to talk about?
Um, I know it's preseason. Lot of coaches just throw in a game plan and try stuff out without anything to lose. But the head scratcher to me was Michigan. I thought Michigan would play a little bit better than 72 points, but that Kansas State team, man, I'm really excited for them this season,
Hmm.
and um, they brought in Booty Cheeks, a good player to play beside Bartlett. So watch out for Kansas State this season.
Yeah, our boy Bartlett doing some big things over there with Kansas State, and I'm just looking at the box score right now. The top player, in my opinion, from Kansas State was Antoine Dubois. Finished with 15 points, 1 rebound, and 6 assists on 6 of 9 shooting. So if they get production out of him and Booty Cheeks finishing with 12, 3, and 2, I mean, Bartlett's not even in the top 3 here, finishing with 7, 1, 1, 1, and 3 blocks, which we're all loving to see from him there. So Kansas State certainly could be in for a nice little run here as we begin the CSBA. But if we move on to the next night, we have another trio of games where we have Auburn defeating UCLA 80 to 63. We have Texas topping the 100 mark, just destroying UConn 105 to 60. And last but not least, another beatdown. We have the Aggies of Texas A&M defeating the Hokies 91 to 60. Is there anything that stands out from this trio of games to you, Ace?
I mean, Texas showing why they made the Final Four last year. This is a big big statement game, even though it's preseason, like 105 points, you don't see that often.
No, and again, Texas, looking at their box score, they have one, two, three, four, five
5.
people in double figures here, starting with nowhere, finishing with 19 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists, and then LaFleur, almost a double double with 17 points and 7 rebounds and 3 assists, just filling up the box sheet there. But Texas is going to be scary. Again, like you said, I know it's preseason, but scoring over 100 points, it's very impressive. Now, again, I know UConn only put up 60, but Aaron Sonogo, finished with 14 points and 4 assists, so that's definitely something to build off of. So we'll see if they can continue that. But other than that, man, not a lot of good competition on that night. A lot of blowouts.
No, and I called all 3, and honestly, the first game was kinda back and forth up till halftime, and then Auburn kinda pulled away in the second half, but, um, Auburn and UCLA both, I'm just gonna say this, both new coaches, C. Spiller
Hmm.
taking over Auburn, um, UCLA coach, brand new, Quan King. So they both teams are going to be exciting to watch this season and see if they can keep that solid core to build off for seasons to come.
Yeah, Auburn had a big time performance. And again, if I butcher any of your names, I apologize in advance. But Martius Kevlio, 21 points on 10 of 12 shooting. I mean, you can't complain with that outing. So if they get outings from Kevlio and they have a tough matchup against Oklahoma State here in week 1, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, Auburn's definitely another team to keep an eye on. But if we continue down the list here, the next day, we had Hawaii taking care of the Wildcats of Kentucky 97-82. We had a heck of a matchup here with Kansas and Wichita State 91-86 victory for the Jayhawks. And then we had Memphis taking care of the Louisville Cardinals 81-58. Now, just looking at the scores here, you would imagine the best game of the night there was Kansas Wichita State. But anything you wanted to talk about here that stood out to you with these 3 games?
Um, I watched, I actually did color commentary with Wired that Kansas Wichita State game. That game was absolutely crazy. Kansas, um, no, Wichita State looked very good.
Hmm.
They were they were up 15 points with like 2 minutes left of the third quarter, and then Kansas came right back and took, I think Wichita only scored like 10 points that whole fourth quarter, so Kansas really dominated that fourth quarter.
Yeah, and again, I mean, Kansas's box score is nasty. The depth on that team is looking crazy. You got Emmett at the top, Marcella finishing with 17 points. You have Sarmiento with 16, Kaiser with 14, two other players, I believe, in double figures with Day and McDrizzle. So Kansas is going to be a tough team to put out, but Wichita State also box score has some nasty looking players here themselves in Malai Thomas, finishing with 25 points and 3 rebounds. You have a double double from Elner with 10 points and 12 rebounds and 7
Oh,
assists.
almost triple double. He
Oh,
had
yeah,
5 7 assists, 5 blocks.
that's
So he was
insane. Hartman
dominating.
almost had a double double too. He had 14 points and 8 assists. So, I could see both of these teams, making a run here this year in season 15. So keep a lookout for both of them. But Hawaii, obviously, we had number one in our preseason rankings, taking down Kentucky. I expect both of those teams to be good. But Memphis, not much to say there. You have Jalen Tyree with 23 points. You expect that out of him each and every game. Um, I didn't get a chance to catch that game, so I don't know much about Louisville, but I just expect a lot from Jalen Tyree this year for the Tigers.
Yeah, Louisville, I think the youngest team in the CSBA, as they have 10 freshmen
Wow.
on the roster, no upperclassmen. So, um, they got some work to do, but they do have some talent. I know the score doesn't uh, dictate that, but they had some players that shine, and hey, if they get in the gym and uh, work on themselves, Louisville could be a force.
Yeah, that's the thing about the CSBA. You don't need, you may not be the best team right now. It's only the preseason week one starts in a little over 24 hours from the time that we're recording this. If you get your players' chemistry going, you get everyone in the gym, it's a long season. You just never know. You never know. And we've seen a lot of upsets and a lot of teams come out of the woodwork to take control of the CSBA. So don't give up. It's only week one. This, for example, is only preseason. So just stick with it and hopefully things turn around for you. But in the next night's action, we actually had four games where Michigan State took down the Beavers of Oregon State 84-76. We had North Carolina, who's going to be a top team potentially this year, take down LSU by 20. We had the Cowboys of Oklahoma State coming in and taking down Duke in Camden Indoor 85-80, and then we had the Wildcats of Arizona take down Mississippi State 90-79. A lot of decent games here, Ace. We're going to get a little bit into them. We had a couple games that, were within 10 or so. Anything stand out here from this slate of games?
First thing, the Oklahoma State Duke game, I think had 19 lead changes that
Yeah, that
whole
could have went
game.
either way.
It was literally back and forth. It was a dogfight all night. It was a hell of a game. I was biting my nails at the end of it, almost having a heart attack. But hey, we pulled it off.
Yep.
For North UNC is going to be a force to deal with this season. They
Yeah.
brought Mamba Baby over from Kentucky last season. Uh, they brought Rico Biggs, and they just have a dominating team. They're definitely going to be scary to watch out for this season.
I mean, Ace, listen, I'm looking at the box score right now at the top three for UNC. Mamba Baby the second, 8 of 9 shooting. Gaines, 7 of 12 shooting. Friday, 8 of 10 shooting. If this team continues to shoot that well, I mean, if I were to choose a potential champion in the preseason, UNC is in my top three.
For sure. For sure.
Um, But other than that, you kind of touched on Oklahoma State, Duke. I expect both of those teams to be good. Arizona dropping 90. They had six players in double figures, which is absolutely crazy, taking down Mississippi State. And I know Michigan State had a couple big performances. Ray Gunn, he's been excellent, scoring over 20 points. Did take a lot of shots, shot 9 for 18, which again is 50%, not terrible, but he did take a lot of shots. Romero the third, though, shooting 8 for 10 in that game, taking down Oregon State. But yeah, overall, a good set of games there for our packed day of four. But
Say one more
on
thing.
yes,
Arizona was one of my favorite teams to commentate last year. I don't know why, but I just love how scrappy they were. And so they kept the solid core, and then they brought in Fafa Swoosh and a couple other good Sir Cotton. So watch out for Arizona this year. They're definitely a slept on team in the CSBA.
yeah, I think they led that entire game too. If I'm reading that correctly,
Yep.
Mississippi State never led that entire game.
Nope.
Wow.
And Mississippi State's good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're definitely no team to sleep on either. And Arizona just, came out right from the rip and said, "Yeah, you're not gonna take this game from us. We're gonna lead from open tip off to last whistle." But on to our last set of games here from the preseason. We have three of them. We have the Gators of Florida taking down Providence 82-72. We have Syracuse pulling a heck of a game out over Houston 82-80. And then Illinois taking it to the Commodores 96-61. Ace, out of these three games, what stood out to you the most?
Um, the Tennessee Houston game. Um,
Yes, I said Syracuse. That's my fault. It is Tennessee.
yeah, no, you're good. Um, the guard duos, they brought in McFadden and Luca, both
Yep.
great guards from North Carolina last season. Um, and Tennessee once again kept that good core. Adding those two players, Tennessee, both guards over 20 points in this game. So they're going to be dominant.
Yeah, that's crazy. I did not get a chance to look at the box score for Tennessee, but anytime you get two players above the 20-point mark, and Lucas shot 11 for 13, McFadden 8 for 15. I mean, if you have those two putting up those types of numbers, you're going to be beating a lot of teams here in the CSBA this year. So, looking forward to big things at a Rocky Top down there, but also sticking with their rival in Florida, taking down Providence by 10. You had Alexander topping the 20-point mark with 21. And then you had a couple other contributors that were above 10 in Dobbins and China. But anything from that game, or, I know Vanderbilt got hosed as much as Illinois almost hit the 100-point mark. Is there anything from either of those two games that kind of stood out?
Um, not really. Florida was good last year. I'm trying to see how they're going to be this year. They lost a good center in Malcolm Streets.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to see how they make up for that loss. Um, but Florida still is a good group of guys, and Florida, I think is a top 20 team in the CSBA.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about that. But that's our weekly matchups there for the preseason. It was a great preseason, and obviously, week one, like I said, is less or a little bit over 24 hours from now. So looking forward to that. But in our next little segment here, we're going to go over some top players of the week, and I'm sure we'll get some heat from some of the players that are saying, "Oh, I did better than that guy, did better than that guy." Don't worry, we'll do our best to highlight as many players as possible, but you got to put up the numbers in order to make this segment. So, just looking at the graphic that we have here, we have some top players here. We have King Flint, the top scorer with 34 points and 4 assists. You got Keith Kimes from Gonzaga with 26 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 steals. You got Hawaii Warriors being represented by Killian O'Houlihan with 21 points, 8 assists, and 4 steals. You got Molly Thomas from the Shockers with 25 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 steal. And then from the Spartans, you got Michigan State Ray Gunn, 23 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal. Ace, is there anyone here that kind of stood out to you in the top five players here, or anyone that we may have missed that you would like to give a shout out to?
Um, two players really stick out to me. King Flint dominating.
Yeah,
He was like a walking bucket, 34 points. Like you don't see 30 often, and he
no,
was just scoring at will. Um, and another person, Mally Thomas for Wichita State. I know Wichita State lost that game, but Wichita State lost a good point guard last season,
yep,
Adrian Vasco. So Wichita's trying to find that next point guard, and Mally Thomas could be it. And 25 points, that's a good way to start out.
yeah, that's crazy. And this didn't get represented on the graphic, but just going back to King of Flint and the heck of a performance he had for Ohio, he shot 13 of 20, 4 of 5 from three, and 4 for 4 from the free throw line. So, I mean, King Flint, not only one of the best players in the CSBA, but could be in the running. I know it's the preseason, but could be in the running for player of the year. You just never know when it comes to the king over there from Ohio. But our last segment, last but certainly not least of our preview show here for the CSBA season 15, we're going to go over some of the top games that Ace and I think are about to show up on your computer or phone or stream for week one. We have 5 games here, one from each day. We'll start with Monday, 6-1. We have Texas at LSU at 9 p.m. And then on Tuesday, 6-2, we have Tennessee going to Creighton. at 8 p.m. EST. On 6/3, speaking of King Flint, we have Ohio traveling to Mississippi State at 8 p.m. And then our designated game of the week, two teams that we expect to be in the top 10 by the end of the CSBA season, the North Carolina Tar Heels going to Michigan, and that's your 10 p.m. EST game on June 4th. And then to round it out, we have UCLA at Virginia Tech on June 5th at 9 p.m. EST. Ace, anything here that stands out particular to you? I know, all these games are massive, but is there any one in particular that you're really looking forward to?
North Carolina, Michigan. I know North. They're both on the opposite ends. Like Michigan lost by 20, North Carolina won by 20. But we both think they're a top 10 team.
Yes.
So I think preseason was just preseason, and Michigan's going to be play a lot better this game. But I'm just going to say, grab your popcorn and enjoy that game because I think that's game's going to go back and forth all night.
I'm gonna do my best to stay up. It might be past my bedtime there at 10 p.m.
Same.
Anytime I try to join commentary, I'm typically not being found on the 10 p.m. EST games, but that's gonna be one that it's gonna be tough to miss out on. So you want to make sure you catch those. But hey, that'll do it here for the preseason preview show of the CSBA season 15 CSBA hoops today. Ace, is there any final comments that you would like to say to the people here before we let everyone go and get ready for week one?
No, I'm excited for this new show. Me and Titus trying to do our best to um, get things going in the CSBA. And
Or, a good show here to get the people involved and try and get as much interaction out of the CSBA
yes,
universe that we can and try and get those stream numbers up and get people just loving the content and more invested in the league and more invested in the players and try and get as much interaction as we possibly can. People are always chiming in on the league chat and everything, so keep that going. We have our top plays of the week. Make sure we get those submitted so that way Ace and I can filter through them. But as always, make sure you're attempting to tune into those Twitch streams at twitch.tv CSB under C_S_B_B_A. Again, Twitch TV CSBA. That's where all the action is going to live. But for myself and Ace, we hope you guys enjoyed the show and we look forward to bringing this to you each and every week. And other than that, we will see you guys in the Twitch streams.